and there's almost nothing that you can really put in that makes it super exciting and without being exploitation. That's why you have like caged heat and stuff like that.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Hello.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Scher.
You guys sound gorgeous.
We do.
Yeah.
We have 2 out of 3 new mics.
Yeah, there was a third one, but it's a casualty of war.
We should put a meme that says, I wanted to help out with the SinCast, but I died.
Yeah, exactly.
Came with the extra capabilities, let's say,
Yes.
that we don't need.
It was extraordinary.
That's right. So let's get right into the rants for today. Who wants to start us off?
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
I'm as mad as hell!
You've never seen me very upset.
Lord Jesus! Lord Jesus!
I almost did this rant a couple weeks ago, and then yesterday I had an occurrence, and now I'm going to do it now. And yes, my specific example this time is going to be Friends, and I think some people are probably getting tired of me talking about Friends. And I will try to endeavor in the future not to talk too much about it, but I've seen this happen with Seinfeld, The Simpsons, almost any show in syndication. And you see these run in blocks on channels like TBS, cable stations, TNT, Spike, what have you. Skipping episodes.
Yeah, within the run of the marathon, right?
Well, yeah, like I don't understand why. Okay, so Friends was on yesterday, and I was watching, and they started with season 5, episode 1, which is right after Ross's wedding, where he said Rachel's name instead of his wife's name.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the first 2 episodes of that season. Then they skipped like 6 and showed me like episode 9. And then they skipped like 5 and showed me episode 14 or whatever. And I was like, what? Again, here we find ourselves again with Jeremy getting aggravated and ranting just because he doesn't understand something. But what is the purpose? What is the logic? You have bought the rights for every episode. And I see this happen on Seinfeld constantly. In that show, it's more forgivable because there's a lot less through lines in the plot.
Yeah, it's not sequential.
And the episodes can stand alone, but I still feel like I'm being jobbed out of reliving Seinfeld season 3, episode 15.
Oh, there's
because they don't ever play that one.
I know. No, they skip over so many of those things and then they play the same ones over and over and over and over again, and it's still enjoyable, but give us the B-side.
I just discovered where FXX is, because when that channel came about and they did that whole every Simpsons episode ever stunt, I didn't think I had it. I just didn't know where to find it on the guide. Mm-hmm. And they play, a block of 4 or 6 Simpsons episodes pretty much every day at some point. So the first time I saw it, I flipped up and it was like Marge versus the monorail. And I was like, all right,
nice.
One of the best episodes ever. And I watched it. And of course, they skipped a ton of episodes and they were in like season 10 the next episode that played. And then a few days later, I was like, well, I'm going to see which Simpsons are playing again. And it was a fucking monorail episode.
Oh.
And it was like 3 days later.
Oh.
And I swear they only use like 36 actual episodes. And they're just doing them over and over and over and over. And it baffles my mind why you would do this.
I don't understand.
There's not a single reason I have thought of that makes any sense. Like, maybe they've gone through history and looked at the highest rated episodes ever, and they're showing those. But then I went and looked up season 5 of Friends to see what they skipped. And I don't know about the ratings, but there are famous Friends episodes in there if you're a fan of the show, and they're skipping right over them.
That's bullshit, man.
And I want to understand. Give me a logical reason. There doesn't seem to be one.
Probably because nobody's paying attention except for you.
Well, okay, I admit I watch more sitcom reruns than the average person. And I do it usually with Frasier, Seinfeld, or Friends. Mm-hmm. But sometimes I'm expecting an episode I know because there's a moment in it I remember and I want to watch that after the one I'm watching now, but they skip over it.
Mm-hmm.
They've done this for years, though. I mean, I used to watch a whole bunch of shows like that would be in syndication. I don't really watch very many syndicated sitcoms anymore, but there would be stuff where they would play part 1 of a cliffhanger and not play part 2. So like, and they would go straight to some other bullshit episode after that. So I don't know what the deal is either, unless it's some random thing.
See, like on Thanksgiving, TBS played, I think it was the TBS, played like 10 or 12. Like one of these channels did a Marathon of Friends episode, and it was all the Thanksgiving episodes from each season. And I'm like, well, there's a programming decision that I understand. It's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all the Thanksgiving Friends episodes. Frasier was doing the same thing on a different channel. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I don't get this.
Yeah. No, I understand.
Let me buy wine on Sunday.
I think they've got it on shuffle is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure it's some kind of automated software kind of thing.
Some bullshit.
Well, it's shuffling, but it's coming up with the same things every time.
Yeah, they're like stopping it and then restarting it.
There may be something to that. I don't know if the iPhone does this, but when I shuffle the entirety of my library, like it'll play songs that I frequently listen to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's something like that.
I don't know, but it drives me up the goddamn wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why we're not already in a day and age where, now again, I can go to Netflix and just watch, Friends whenever I want. There's something active though about choosing to put in a Blu-ray or turn on Netflix.
Yes.
That makes me feel more committed to watching.
Yeah.
When most of the time I have these on just kind of as background noise, something to turn and look at when my ADD kicks up or whatever. Anyway, drives me crazy. Sorry if everybody hates that rant, but
I like it.
Hey, I'm 1/3 of the show, so you have to deal with what I say.
So we're going to get into some Oscar news later, but and this has probably been a problem for some time as well. But the Oscars seem moot these days. Having gone through all the different award shows that happen in award season, which, we're full on into this. So you had Golden Globes, you had the Critics' Choice, you had the SAG Awards, you had all these different things. It's the same winners every time. And there's only like every once in a while, there's an anomaly. Like, you have James Franco who has all the, the bullshit that's come down and he's not being nominated for an Oscar for it. So so now somebody who's been honored pretty much the entire award season like Franco isn't going to get an Oscar. That's a good thing, but it's still, if you look at the award shows, it's still the same people. Who's going to win the Oscar at this point. Like there are possibilities for surprises, I suppose, if you like you want to hype it up and say well, there's this factor and so on and so forth. But if it's not Gary Oldman winning for Darkest Hour,
right?
If it's not Allison Janney for I, Tonya, if it's not Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Over Ebbing, Missouri, and if it's not Sam Rockwell for the same thing, then okay, it's going to have to be more than one surprise, though. I mean, it's going to be either all 4 of those are going to win the Oscar, or it's going to be 3 and there'll be that one like anomaly that somehow like
best supporting actress, right?
Yeah,
those
it's always something like that. Yeah,
or it's like what happened last year with La La Land and the movie that actually won Best Picture. That was the surprise.
Moonlight. Yeah,
it does feel more set in stone this year than usual. I get what you're saying. I feel like it's getting worse.
Yeah, it does get worse because I think I don't think the Academy is an independent body of a lot of these other awards. Like, the Critics' Choice is in a way because it's the critics, but
right.
I just feel like the Academy is like, oh, I heard of that one. That person's is getting all sorts of buzz for that performance. Okay. And they watch it and they're like, oh yeah, they're terrific. Nominated them.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Academy should be like a body that's independent of all these other like things. They are tasked to watch everything in the year instead of this whole like screener thing or whatever. That's their job. Go and like watch everything that comes out in the year. And I don't think it works that way because the Academy is made up of like actors and people we still don't know about, but whatever. But like there's people who haven't seen everything that are voting.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, it's gotten to the point now where we just know who's going to win. And yeah, there is that occasional anomaly that shows up and you're like, oh, that was awesome. That was a good surprise. It's usually just one thing, though. It's not like across the board or anything that we get this. I mean, Guillermo del Toro is going to win Best Director. Yeah. Shape of Water is probably going to win Best Picture. I mean, there is a possibility that even in that category, we'll see something like 3 Billboards, kind of like.
I think Get Out has a dark horse chance.
And Get Out has a dark horse chance.
Yeah, that's weird. The other contenders outside of Shape of Water seem like there's no like real clear second favorite. Maybe 3 Billboards.
Yeah, that's the only one.
That's pretty much
because both of those have won everything.
Yeah.
I'll tell you how bad it is. I think last year and the year before on Twitter, I live tweet usually, and I generally predict each award, and I'm way better than 50% on my predictions. And you guys know I haven't seen most of these movies when the Oscars are being held. If you can watch the broadcast and you've watched it for 20 years like I have and predict who's going to win without having seen any of the movies, something's wrong.
Well, I don't know if something is necessarily wrong, because if there's a dominating performance, it's weird to say dominating performance, but if there's like a critically lauded, like across the board, everybody can agree with it, thinking like Daniel Day-Lewis for, There Will Be Blood or something like that, then yeah. But I think what you guys are saying is that it shouldn't be across the board. Like there should be one or two of those.
Right.
There's a consensus saying, yeah, there's no way he's going to lose or she's going to lose this.
You shouldn't be looking to spot or guess which one's going to be the surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
You should be surprised. You should be allowed to be surprised on more than half the awards.
Yeah.
And I just don't think we're going to be. I think this is a very good rant.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I haven't seen The Post yet. I'm sure Meryl Streep is amazing in The Post. She's usually pretty amazing in everything she does and everything, but. Again, they've nominated someone it probably doesn't have. And look, I'm talking about ass. I haven't seen The Post yet, but I'm going to assume that her performance is not nearly as good as Brooklyn what's her name from the Florida Project, and probably the other actress who I don't know the name of that they found off Instagram or whatever. Her name's like Bria Venite or something like that.
Did the girl from Lady Bird get nominated?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't mind Saoirse Ronan and Margot Robbie and a lot of these, but like, come on, I don't know if that's exactly how it goes. The actors nominate the actors and so on and so forth. That's from what I understand, that's sort of how that works is you have everybody votes on that best picture, but then you have directors vote for directors, actors vote for actors. That's the same thing as the SAG Awards. That's the same. Right. I mean, why are we even bothering if that's the issue? And I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like every year there is this. I have to show Meryl Streep how much I love Meryl Streep. if I'm not nominating her, then I'm not paying my penance to the queen.
Yeah.
And like I feel like there are a lot of other performances that get overlooked so that they can shower her with more fucking awards.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody outside of Frances McDormand's going to win this fucking thing. But still, it would be nice to see some new blood, because every year Meryl Streep is in any fucking movie, she's getting nominated. It's even the shitty movies that I've seen people have great performances in shitty movies. Yeah. No one fawned all over themselves to give fucking awards to them.
Yeah,
like Florence. I knew I was going to fuck that up. Florence Foster Jenkins was not a very good movie.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, come on. Yeah. That movie, that shouldn't have been awarded with anything. I don't care how good a performance is. You just leave it the fuck alone.
Maybe you should get one for Mamma Mia too.
She's also just recently joined the cast of Big Little Lies season 2.
Yeah, man.
And I don't want this to sound like I hate Meryl Streep. I just think that people just go out of their way to nominate her because they respect her.
Mm-hmm.
They go out to vote for her. They have to, like that. It's like a conscious decision. I have to show somehow, some way, even though she doesn't know I voted for her. Well, maybe it is. Maybe they vote for her and go, I've totally voted for you.
I bet everybody tells everybody they voted for.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I bet you there's people going around Oscar night that tell every single Best Actor nominee, I voted for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I would, just to fuck with people.
Hey, you have, in the lead actor category and everything, it looks like that's Gary Oldman's, but Daniel Day-Lewis, I don't think has been in any of the other awards that, like the Phantom Threads kind of had this late surge. And Daniel Day-Lewis, there's going to be some people who are like, this is his last performance.
Mm-hmm.
So it may fuck up this Gary Oldman thing, and which would be sad because Gary Oldman.
On the other side, don't you have people who are voting for Gary Oldman just because he's one of those actors that definitely should have won one already and hasn't?
Yeah.
I haven't seen this movie. Seems like a pretty straightforward biopic. Is this really the best Gary Oldman performance ever? Or is it just that we kind of subconsciously decided once we saw the poster and the makeup, this is the one.
And I haven't seen Darkest Hour either, but yes, Gary Oldman has been extremely undershowered with praise, whatever you want to call that.
It's like when they gave it to Denzel for Training Day.
Mm-hmm.
he hadn't won Best Actor up till then.
Well, he'd
right?
won Best Supporting,
but not Best Actor.
Yeah.
But that again, I love that
Well,
movie, but that's not his best performance.
And I haven't seen Roman J. Israel Esquire either, but he got nominated for that.
Yep.
And this also reeks of, I know who Denzel Washington is. I love Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Let's nominate him because he's always awesome, and so on and so forth.
You're right. I'm one of his biggest fans. He's probably one of my top 2 favorite actors, but it feels like one that, well, even, I didn't see Fences yet, but even that one, I was like, wow, he probably, didn't he win something for doing the play? Like, do we need to give him another, like, maybe he's great in this and all, but.
No, he's pretty incredible in Fences, but, I mean, I felt like that was, I don't know, and like I said, we're talking out of our ass. I haven't seen Roman J. Israel Esquire, mainly because the name was Roman J. Israel Esquire.
That is a terrible
and
name.
I just need to go, like, find it at some point and forget that the name is that.
I got the sense from Dicer on Twitter that he feels the same way, and he's seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't want to misquote him. I don't know exactly what he said, but I came away from the tweet thinking Denzel's one of the ones that probably could have gone and given a spot to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've seen a lot of these movies, but in the actor category, I still haven't seen Call Me by Your Name. Timothy Chalamet's in that. The two I have seen, Daniel Day-Lewis and Daniel Kaluuya. Like, now, if I'm biased because I haven't seen a lot of these things, I would give it to Kaluuya right now because I feel like his performance doesn't rely on makeup. It doesn't rely on any bombastic,
well, and he's great.
Yeah, and he's so,
the glue.
Yeah, so I mean, what? That's why every year that you have people are like, "This is total bullshit. You shouldn't have awards, nominating best acting." And so that's what that's your typical Sean Penn spiel.
Yeah.
I do, however, sorry, tangent. I do, however, always think about Dave Chappelle in that scene in Get Out where the black guy is acting all like an old white person. And I can't help but picture like Dave Chappelle doing a sketch, just kind of riffing on black people who have been turned like in Get Out and how odd they act.
Dude, his whole demeanor in that movie reminded me of when Chappelle came out after the election and did Saturday Night Live, and he had this side-eye look. Like, he was like, I saw this coming. Like, because it was like, everybody said Hillary can't lose, but I know the whites.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the look that Daniel Kaluuya has on like the entirety of this movie, where he's like,
yeah.
I know what's going on, guys.
Right.
I've been there, you know.
But yeah, that's ultimately it's sort of couple rants in one there. I mean, it just it feels like we know who's going to win before this even happens, and yes, there'll probably be one surprise at least. If there's more than that, then I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
But and then the whole Meryl Streep thing, which it's just like, let's just nominate her for every goddamn thing she does and whatever. So
yeah.
Anyway, over.
They should make a movie with Meryl Streep and Denzel Washington and a director who Spielberg, somebody who gets nominated.
Yeah.
Just make like the Oscars
scored by John Williams.
Yeah.
They talk about certain roles or movies are like Oscar bait.
Well, that's what that was an actual funny joke from the Golden Globes, and this is the only thing I saw of the Golden Globes. Was on the Seth Meyers monologue. He was talking about, we have the Post nominated tonight. It has Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, directed by Steven Spielberg, and somebody out from the back of the stage shows up with a bunch of awards, and he's like, no, get back.
It's not ready yet.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I'm doubling down on my rant from last week.
Oh no!
So my rant from last week was the protagonists argue before the film's climax.
Oh, yeah, I remember
that cliche. And actually, a lot of people have chimed in with their least favorite cliches too on SoundCloud.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff. But what I've seen almost as much of, if not more of, is the inevitable sad music plays after they fight cliche. It's not just sad music, it's a sad song, okay? In Good Will Hunting, Elliott Smith, okay, those are all kind of sad songs, but they, after him and Minnie Driver break up, is all that stuff. In It, they have XTC's Dear God, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. But it's like, we're starting to blame me. He punches Finn Wolfhard in the face, and now we're all going to our separate corners. Dear God, fuck that. Fuck that. That's a good movie. And it always follows, every time this happens, it's the follow-up to Bad Moms.
It's sort of the cool down phase, isn't it? It's like everybody's going to be amped up after this argument and fight.
Yeah.
Let's have a song to play to cool everybody down and bridge it.
What typifies it is the Rufus Wainwright version of Hallelujah in Shrek. Mm-hmm. Because that's when Shrek is, donkey, get out of here, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's, I heard there was a secret chord. That was the Rufus Wainwright version.
Nice. Good job. I thought it was Leonard Cohen. I couldn't tell.
Yeah. It was the worst Leonard Cohen cover we've ever heard.
But even in good movies like Donnie Darko has Mad World that plays, right after this big
That's
dramatic
such a good
thing.
song, Bo.
Oh, it is? No, these are all good songs. Most of them are good songs. I mean, and even in Toy Story where they have a heated Toy Story 2, where they have that heated argument between Woody and
Buzz?
Jane. Is it Jane?
The cowgirl?
Cowgirl.
I don't fucking know.
And the cowgirl, they play the fun.
Ellie. No, it's
Jesse.
Jesse.
Hold on, my whole shit just busted.
Yeah.
You broke it.
Jesus fucking Christ.
You broke the pop filter. I think he spun it too many times.
Anyway, after that moment, they play that soul-crushing song that Randy Newman wrote.
Oh, yeah,
what is it?
yeah.
It's When She Loved Me.
Yeah.
It is. Well, all the Toy Story movies have a moment like that.
Well, wait a minute. Well, the When She Loved Me wasn't after an argument.
No, I mean it was after a heated exchange. So that's a bad example of that cliche.
Yeah.
I think there is a bigger problem though,
Mhm.
and I think it's just too on the nose music choices. Because you're right, when it's not just music that sounds sad, but they'll pick songs that have sad lyrics, or even more on the nose. But we noticed it in The Conjuring 2 when they do London Calling.
Oh yeah,
and of course that's something that Friends did, 10 years prior when the Friends go to London. Of course, it's just it's a little too on the nose, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Hey, what's the most London song we can think of? And of course, the movie underscores that with all these images of the Union Jack and Big Ben and all the cliches. And I think the problem is bigger than just the sad music being too on the nose. But you're right; they do always play a sad song after the fight before they make up and win the day.
And there's almost always a montage of everybody doing their own thing, and we're sad, but we're definitely going to get back together in probably about 7 minutes.
Mhm.
So just
I wonder if
sit back.
in a situation of London Calling, where I wonder if the screenwriters or the director was like, we're going to do something different, goddammit.
And the studio's
and then the studio's like, well, London Calling is really cheap to buy.
we've already got the rights for it.
Right.
Got an unlimited license.
Okay, London Calling it is.
London Calling.
That's a weird choice though, because I think I haven't really dived deep into those lyrics.
No, it's not what you think it is.
But it's not.
It's what you think it is.
Yeah,
but not what
right.
the average person thinks it is.
Yeah, I think it paints a pretty bleak picture, and it's not an upbeat song. It's
like
all
Born in the
minor
USA.
key,
Born in the USA was never meant to be a pro-American patriotic rallying cry.
Yeah.
It's about the plight of the worker.
Exactly.
Anyway.
It's kind of like that Harry Styles song with the video with the kids throwing cake and shit.
Yeah.
You listen to the lyrics of that, and I'm like, there's little kids running around, dude.
Oh yeah. There's some weird shit there.
Yeah,
Man.
what is this? I mean, I like the video and everything, but goddamn, hard candy dripping down your leg. Fuck me.
There's also, there's a reason to underscore what you're saying. There's a reason people do it jokingly because it's been done to death, like Arrested Development with the "Hello, Darkness, my old friend."
The sound
and then, of course, Lego Batman doing the "One is the loneliest number" after he's all by himself. And those are making fun of that kind of moment because they happen way too often.
Yeah.
So you're dead on. That's a good call.
What do we want to do about news? Do we want to go back into the Oscars?
We can.
Cool.
News on the mark.
I would like to know how Boss Baby gets nominated over Lego Batman.
Yeah, this is where we can sort of expand the Oscar talk because Boss Baby. Yeah, that was one of the biggest. That was trending on Twitter when that happened.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
people
like
were
anybody's
"Are you
happy with that."
fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there.
Because it's not some years it's there just weren't enough animated movies that made money or people saw
Right.
So we have to nominate this turd like Despicable Me or what have you. I guess the first one was okay. But you got Lego Batman sitting out here.
You have Captain Underpants, which is a lot of fun, too.
Yeah, and so what the fuck?
I don't know. Listen, I like Boss Baby probably more than anybody I have ever talked to besides maybe my son. I didn't like it. I just liked it more than people typically did. But it's not a fucking Oscar nominee.
Is it because of the people involved? Is it because Alec Baldwin's involved? Gave it some kind. I know it made a shit ton of money, but I don't remember it getting like great reviews.
I don't think Alec Baldwin is exactly beloved among everybody. Like he's probably split.
Was Meryl Streep a voice?
Yeah, probably so.
Jimmy Kimmel and Lisa Kudrow were voices in that.
See, that just tells me to stay away.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah. I don't think there were any real recognizable voices in there besides Alec Baldwin. Oh, Tobey Maguire was the kid.
Oh.
But, I mean, it's not like, oh, it's Toby.
Yes, might as well have been Armie Hammer.
Yeah. And there were a lot of people upset that he wasn't nominated for the Call Me By Your Name too.
Oh yeah,
well, he's supposed to be really good in it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough a lot of times with some of these, and they did it this year where they have actors from the same movie competing in the same category, like the Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell and the supporting actor and everything. That's always, I feel like that's tough, you know, like you're pitting your co-stars together and everything. It's happened many times, but it's just a weird thing.
For Godfather 2, there was like 3 of them.
Yeah,
I think
so.
for best supporting actor.
Oh yeah.
We also, I think, need to talk about Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who presented the nominees, by the way.
Poor bastard. They told him ahead of time, hey, your name's not going to be on this list.
Probably so.
And I saw Simser on Twitter talking up Doug Jones from Shape of Water. Again, I haven't seen that, but I guess he did a lot of similar Andy Serkis style work or heavy makeup work. I don't really know because I haven't seen it. And again, the problem is Andy Serkis has done mocap work in better movies, but he's still so fucking good. Like, somebody asked on Twitter a couple months ago, who's your favorite male performance of the year? And I said, Caesar, like Andy Serkis, immediately. Didn't even bat an eye. Now, granted, I've seen 10% of what you guys have probably seen in terms of...
Well, his performance is the best part of that movie.
It is.
For
and
sure.
I just don't know how you... I don't know how you can continue to ignore this guy. I'm by the way, we're not the only people who think this. Like, we've done the sin for years that, Andy Serkis isn't getting nominated for an Oscar in this scene or what have you. But, like, there are plenty of people on Twitter who were saying almost as much about Andy Serkis as I saw about Boss Baby being nominated.
Yeah. It's always going to be a gray area for the industry, right? Because after our War for the Planet of the Apes video, we had someone saying that the performance is incomplete until we come in and, like, actually do the stuff. And even though we have that one video of him doing the performance and it just slowly morphs him into Caesar as it happens, there's always the thought from a lot of people that, well, the visual effects are as much of the performance as the actor is, and we feel uncomfortable nominating that. The ultimate fix, which they're never going to do, they're always going to award lesser things that nobody gives a shit about, but start doing voice and mocap
categories.
Oscars.
Who's not going to be interested in that? Who's going to be like, man, I really wish they had... I could watch the visual... This is a bad example, but, editing category instead of these fine performances that took this team together.
I mean, and editing is definitely important. I just don't feel like on the telecast itself anybody gives a shit about it.
Exactly.
And so, like, I don't know why some of these can't be the technical awards or be the ones that they award beforehand.
Right.
And then they add meaningful stuff like this and stunts and a lot of the other things that, people have been clamoring for years to actually get an Oscar nomination for. But for whatever reason, the Academy is resistant to it. And
I'm telling you, imagine the clip show that would precede the nominations.
Yeah.
For best stunt.
Yeah.
Even best stunt actor or whatever.
I mean, you see companies all the time now putting out VFX reels. Like the people that do Game of Thrones, I see one every season, and it's like shots from the season, and then and then it shows you the CG they added into the background. That show does it the best too, because it's always like a rock or a tree. Like you never actually realize you're watching how much they've CG'd in there. Anyway, but those are fun to watch. Like the overlay, you could do the same thing with the circus video for any kind of mocap performance, where you'd show a morphing video of what they shot and what the end product was. I don't know.
You're getting to yes. The Oscars should be largely performance based. What you see in front of the camera, because in a telecast, that's what you're going to present. You don't want to see, I mean, maybe like the written page and parsing out some of the dialogue and stuff like that. That's fun. But like the editing or like the sound effects or things like that, nobody's going to get on board with that.
These are things that just take up time, and I understand. I believe these people should be honored for what they do.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's a telecast thing.
Right.
If you were
stream it on Amazon.
Yeah. If you were to start the Oscars today, there's never been an Oscars in the history or whatever, and you were a TV guy, what would you want on this show? And it's just sort of, all this stuff has just been tradition for the longest time, and nobody wants to break a tradition, you know?
Can I say something really ignorant? What does an editor do? Like, I read an article when Tom Cruise went back to filming Mission Impossible 6 because he'd had that injury, and it said in the downtime, Christopher McQuarrie got a head start editing everything that he had shot up till the injury. And
I was editing?
I was like, well, I've always assumed the director's in the room when they're editing.
I think that shorthand for got in the room with the editor to do editing.
And so does the editor, I'm not trying to make jokes, because what we do, I would consider editing, right? And I think some of us, you guys are both better at it than I am. Some of the people we worked with in the past are better than other people. There's some measure of talent there. And I imagine the director, somebody who's like David Fincher, who's got total authority, he's not going to let the editor put together a scene the way he doesn't want.
I don't know. I mean, it probably depends on the director, but yeah, somebody like Fincher may have a different style than somebody said, just bring it to me and I'll make, kind of like the final touch.
I think there's notes, and the editor follows the notes, and if he's got some sort of artistic flourish he wants to throw in there and they don't like it, then they can always take it out and so on and so forth. I think he does much more than we are told or that we can imagine in our heads. I think that the director probably, your really big directors are probably going to be in the room at the time of all these edits and everything, but I do think that the editor himself is probably going to be sitting there going, all right, how does this do what we as this film crew want on this movie? We want something fast paced. Okay, well, we'll start trying to find all the footage that matches that criteria and everything.
I'm not trying to, by the way, I'm sorry if I'm belittling the art of editing. I'm just asking a genuine question. I know there's something to it. When we did that Beast of Balor short that was a Lord of the Rings goof, I did an edit of it, and the guy that shot it did an edit of it. I think we ended up using his. But I had to make choices, right? I had all the raw footage, and I had to make choices on when to cut and which take to use here and there, and I get that, but I was also considering myself like the director of that when I was making that edit, if that makes sense. And it's hard for me. I guess I just assumed the director had more pressure and control over what the editor's decisions were.
Yeah, it probably depends. I mean, did you see that Paul Thomas Anderson didn't have a cinematographer for Phantom Thread?
Yeah, I saw that.
So
it's the only time he's ever done that.
Yeah, he had a director of photography, I guess, tell him the specifics about, this is the shot that I want, but it was like a piecemeal approach. And I assume some people are going to be, Spielberg, I'm sure, has an editor that he super trusts, and the Coen brothers have somebody that they super trust.
Well, it's the Coen brothers.
Well, it's the Coen brothers. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there's going to be some that say, I trust you to do all this stuff, and then just bring it to me. I'm going to focus on, say, the cinematography or something like that, or vice versa.
It just feels to me like it's usually a category filled with movies where I'm like, huh. I can never predict what's going to be nominated for Best Editor, because there's always something in there, The Force Awakens or whatever, and then it'll be something like Sideways or whatever.
Well, here's an example. Okay, so Baby Driver was nominated.
See, that I get.
That actually, yeah, it does stand out. Dunkirk was in there.
That I get as well.
Yeah, sure. The Shape of Water, I, Tonya, and Three Billboards.
I, Tonya and Three Billboards don't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, was there anything spectacularly clear about the
I don't
edits.
think
and,
it's. I don't think they're looking for spectacular whatever. And I don't know what the criteria is either. I mean, it's probably among editors who are making those decisions, and they have the eye that we don't.
like, I see that transition right there.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
great.
And so like, yeah, I look at it and go, "Hi, Tanya, weird. Three billboards, weird." But to editors, it probably means that what they saw was, transcendent in some way.
That's interesting.
So I mean, and it may be very subtle things like how they decide to cut away from an actor when they're talking, or I don't know how they know the other stuff, like when they're talking about like, oh, it's also the decisions of the stuff that they decide to put in. Like, how do they know what has been put in, what's been taken out, what's I don't know how they know that if they know that.
Well, I mean,
so I think they're just watching it and going, oh, okay, well, yeah, it's very interesting how it cuts when this person says this word and so on and so forth. I felt like Molly's Game had good editing because of the way it punctuates a lot of the Sorkin dialogue in it. That's something that I was very aware of. I don't think it has anything to do with what we're aware of, the plebes watching movies. You know?
You just think of like something like Dunkirk or Baby Driver or even Molly's Game, where you notice the editing. It's outstanding to the point that people like us can say, God damn, that was really good.
Yeah. I can tell you what's shitty editing a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
totally.
I mean, anything like because we do what we do on the Cinemasins channel, there's so many things that happen where dialogue starts on that last fucking millisecond of somebody looking at the camera.
Yeah.
And we try to cut out all that bullshit that's in the video so that it doesn't like give you that little, whoa, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Look, and like, and so like, I don't understand that ever.
No.
Like, why do you do that? Why is there ever a choice to be like, I'm going to start the dialogue right fucking here?
Valerian was the worst
oh my
about
God, yeah. And it just, I'll never get that. And I'm sure that's part of it too. How do the sound effects and sound effects editing people go into what's being edited as well, as far as the visual is concerned? Because there's got to be some choices being made there as well. So I don't know. I feel like that's a category that is above our heads.
Yeah.
Like, even though we know what editing is and we've done editing, I don't think we've done that kind of
No, I agree. Well, I think it's similar. Here I go. I'm going to be ignorant again. I think it's similar to like director of photography, cinematographer, director. Right? Because I think it's easy for plebes like us. I'm going to insult myself first before the listener can do it. To not understand those jobs and where they're different. And I understand that, a cinematographer or director of photography probably has a technical know-how with regard to not only the equipment and how to use it, but staging shots. And it doesn't feel on the surface.
No, sure. I mean, unless you get somebody that, again, is outstanding, like a Roger Deakins or something like that.
But I still feel like, and again, I understand why he's great. I can see the greatness in his work. But I don't know that I don't know that everybody has that kind of freedom. I think there are a lot of cinematographers that just get told what to shoot.
Almost.
That was the same with Kubrick.
I think that almost every cinematographer I've ever heard talk or read in a magazine or whatever, they've been hired because they are this person. They are never hired to be like, just follow orders. They, like, you hire Roger Deakins because he knows so much about cinematography. You put him in there and he does his thing.
I get that.
Yeah.
But
and the creativity comes from, how it's composed and everything. If the director doesn't like it, then he's hired the wrong person, essentially.
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to say it's a category I don't think we really understand or think through too much as fans.
No, you have different styles again. So Stanley Kubrick used John Alcott for almost all of his movies. And you never hear about John Alcott. You hear about Stanley Kubrick because he was so domineering as far as what he oversaw. Even though Alcott had a lot of input, it was ultimately his decision. And then you have somebody like Paul Thomas Anderson that comes out and says, I know where to point a camera and shoot it the way that I want it shot. And
these are union jobs too. You can't just go in and be like, I need it to be I mean, I think every single one of these things that I have read, like, and this could be just based on a good director, a well-known director and everything, but like, almost every actor seems to think that they were hired for their own skills. They weren't hired to be what the director tells them to be. Like, that's what every actor seems to say, is like, you hired me to do this job. You thought this was the thing, so I'm going to do what I always do. If you want me to change in some way, you've hired the wrong person.
Don't you think that's
like Lord Miller?
It's not. It can't be like that constantly, though.
No, it's not like that constantly.
Because there are directors that definitely tell performers how to alter what they're doing.
That probably didn't happen on like Heavyweights or something like that. It's just
I was thinking like Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
like you don't often think about cinematographers on comedies, or even often on dramas. You think about it more on movie genres that are known for visual flair, like action or sci-fi or what have you. But like, I'm sure there are comedies being made, like The Bad Moms. Do you think the director was telling the cinematographer how to stage those shots, or vice versa?
I mean,
I don't know who directed Bad Moms.
I guess my point is,
I'm pretty sure they hire somebody just off the line on those things and say, "Hey, we want this flatly lit. We want it to look like a comedy." Okay, and they just do it.
But I don't know. I've just derailed everything, and I'm really sorry because I clearly just don't know what I'm talking about, and that's fine. But I feel like there are, Roger Deakins is up here. You hire Roger Deakins to be Roger Deakins. There's another end of the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Definitely.
They're not getting hired for their creative decisions.
I agree, but they might be getting hired and then told what to do by the director.
Sure, and it's never going to be anything complex. It's going to always be something like,
date movie.
Yeah, date movie. It's going to be those type of things where you're like, point the camera where I say, and then you get your credit, and then like later on you can like be, Mr. Awesome Cinematographer.
All right, I'm sorry. We can move on.
All right, so we want to recommend some things.
Totes Amazeballs.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
So first thing I did when I landed in LA a couple weeks ago, I went to my hotel. I had gotten there very early. It was like 10 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
And I always go to the hotel with that, just like that. Yeah, my fingers crossed. Maybe you got a room and you can just put me in there and I can go to sleep, which is what I really wanted to do because I woke up at like 4:50 in the morning.
Jesus.
And they were like, no, there's not one right now. I was like, okay, God damn it. All right, well, I'm going to go walk somewhere real quick and then whatever. So I walked and found the closest movie theater and watched Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh.
And I remember before this movie came out, somebody on Facebook was like, how much alcohol should I drink before I watch this Jumanji movie? And I was like, well, that's a trick question. You don't watch the Jumanji movie. You just, you just don't watch it. That's
you just drink instead of watching.
Yeah, exactly. So then it comes out and people were like, oh, this was surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I first hear that, I'm like, nah, I still don't trust you. I don't trust you at all. But considering that was really my only option, and by this point I had heard that it was actually good, I went and watched it. And of course I got a text that my room was ready as soon as I bought the ticket.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
So I go in and it was surprisingly delightful. The reason I think it is not only are people like The Rock and Kevin Hart and all them they're just fun to watch in general if you put them in the right movie and everything. Right. But it has zero reliance on nostalgia. There's almost nothing in there where I don't even. The only thing that's really a connection to the first movie is where they find Jumanji at the beginning of the movie.
Interesting,
because at the end of the original Jumanji, it's on the beach or whatever.
Yeah, in France.
Yeah, and so yeah, they turn it into this big video game thing where they've updated Jumanji, and that's a question I have basically for the Sins video is how does Jumanji update to video game status over all this time?
It was previously only using 10% of its brain.
That's true. That's true. It was definitely happening like that. Yeah, it's just one of those movies. It's fun and it's fast. And it works.
So, okay, how does this differ from like Central Intelligence, like other lesser Kevin Hart Rock movies? Obviously, it's a completely different movie, but their dynamic
Well, I think it might be the addition of. I haven't seen it. You tell us. Jack Black seems to help, I would guess.
Yeah, Jack Black. Like when I first saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh fuck me, Jack Black's just basically doing what Rob Schneider did in The Hot Chick. And I was like, but it's way better than what Rob Schneider did.
Hey, careful. My wife loves that movie.
Oh, The Hot Chick?
Oh, my God. It's one of her jams.
Oh,
She loves it.
Jesus.
Giggles and giggles and
my
giggles.
God. That may be the most tragic misuse of Rachel McAdams I've ever seen. In a movie.
It's pretty bad. But that was way earlier in her career.
It's true. That's true. But
He inhabits her soul, right?
Her
Or like
body.
her body. His soul inhabits her body.
yeah,
they switch.
in The Hot Chick, yes.
Yes.
They switch with Rachel McAdams, who becomes Rob Schneider. And yeah, so Rob Schneider has to deal with being a
Why are
teenager.
there so many of these movies?
I don't know.
There's like 17 movies where the dad and son switch
Well,
bodies.
because it's wouldn't it be fun if the young guy could experience what the old guy does, and what the old guy experiences what the young guy does? They always have that. Wouldn't it be fun? Yeah, it's been done a million fucking times. Stop writing that shit.
Yeah.
But I haven't really directly compared this to Central Intelligence. I mean, there are other people in here like Karen Gillan and Jack Black, but I don't know. There's something about the antics in Central Intelligence that get really just on your nerves faster. Whereas in Jumanji, it feels like, oh, this is a kind of a situation where you would act this way a little bit more. Like it's not as
Stupid?
Yeah, I guess so. Not as stupid.
I felt like Central Intelligence was insulting to anyone who has intelligence.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like they were just like, hey, Kevin Hart, we're going to roll. You just be funny.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep saying stuff and sputtering, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
Promise.
Yeah.
And then they let it roll for like 20%.
Yeah,
too long.
seriously.
And in this one, it sort of, I guess, they tried to do that in Central Intelligence too, but it makes fun of their own personas and everything and all that. But no, that would be an interesting study, by the way. I wouldn't mind doing that, watching Central Intelligence and then that's a weird double feature. Watching Central Intelligence and then watching Jumanji and then trying to figure out what exactly worked in this movie that didn't work in the other one. But yeah, getting back to Jack Black. Yeah, Jack Black is really good in this. Like playing that. I thought that it was going to be a lot of these teenage girl cliche type of things, but he really plays that, I think, subtly even. So
he's gotten a lot more nuanced as he's
has.
gone on.
He sure has.
Yeah.
Thank God too. He's in something coming up too that looks really, really.
Oh
good.
yeah, it's based on a true story.
Yeah. Goddamn.
About a guy.
Yep.
I've actually read about what you're talking about. I just can't think of anything.
I'll pull up
Because I remember when I read it, it made me think of that movie Bernie
Mm-hmm.
that he had done. He was really excellent in. So.
Don't worry, he won't get far on foot.
Oh yes, yeah, that's based on a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
the guy in
directed by Gus Van Sant.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Wow.
Yeah,
I win!
nice. It's,
Yeah, I didn't have to say that guy who made Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
I got his name.
Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, 76% Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
7.2
It's
IMDb.
I've heard pretty good things.
It's made a lot of money too.
Sure
like
has.
it's going up there to the point where it might end up being second on 2017.
Well, and it's been the number one movie for like four or 5 weeks in a row.
Yeah. And it's approaching Wonder Woman and Guardians of the Galaxy and all that. Which reminds me, there is a news item, like just randomly here, that the next Jumanji is planning on going up head to head with Star Wars 9 when it comes out.
Interesting. There's a lot of like showdowns coming up.
Right, and I understand if you're Jumanji, you're the studio. I guess it was Sony that did Jumanji. We've got this big hit. It doesn't matter when we come out with it. People are going to watch it. It's Christmas. People watch, Christmas movies basically just get a huge just jump from being in Christmas. Doesn't matter when you release it, but you did so well coming out with it a week after Last Jedi. Why cut into that? You're going to get crushed. Now, the thing is, you're going to do well still, but you're going to get crushed overall in that first week because everybody's going to watch that next Star Wars movie. So I don't really understand that. I'm sure there'll be some sort of flenching going on where they'd be like, okay, well, we'll come out with it on the 22nd or something like that. But I find that really interesting that they would let's just go head to head with Star Wars. Just go with what kept working for you. Why even bother?
Dance with the one who brung you.
That's right. That's right.
This is also a great Petra song from my youth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It means they're referring to Jesus.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you dance with Jesus.
Dance with the one who brung you.
Who-
God, my
who-
childhood.
So who leads in that situation?
When you're dancing with God?
Yeah.
Well, there's the whole
God.
Jesus take the wheel, so I guess it's Jesus take the lead
I guess
too.
so.
Yeah.
Jesus, take the wheel.
One other recommend the Drunk History just came back on.
Oh, I love that show.
Drunk History is probably one of the best comedies that have come out in the last 5 years. This is in the 5th season now.
It's so smart.
It is. It really is. And the first episode of this new season is about women who did great things in wartime. So there's like Clara Barton, stuff like that. Mandy Moore slays it as Clara Barton. Of course, she's also like mimicking, and I can't remember who it was that was doing the actual drunk history in that one. She's hilarious. Tiffany Haddish is on one of them.
Oh, nice.
And Paget Brewster's on another one, and it's just, oh my God, that first episode I was like rolling, especially the Tiffany Haddish one, because watching all these white people do her mannerisms and like trying to talk like have that animation of talking like her and everything. She's already funny as it is, but like all these people like doing the stuff and everything it's so good. That show is so funny. You're right. It's smart and it's well shot and it's
well acted. I mean, to
well
line
acted.
up all like you're saying with the actors do a terrific job nailing exactly like the inflection and like the speech patterns and all that stuff. It's weird to say like a show like Drunk History is smart, but it's really fucking smart.
Yeah, it really
There's
is.
a web series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it did.
yeah.
But yeah, Mandy Moore and that Clara Barton one, she is fantastic in it. Just
Yeah,
like
check that out.
I've never seen Mandy Moore like that before, and it's
She did a great multi-episode arc on Scrubs, and she was very, very funny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what her big thing was? Instead of laughing, she'd say, "Oh, that's so funny," which is kind of actually like recycled from a Seinfeld episode where that was the impetus for the roommate switch because Jerry's girlfriend wouldn't laugh.
All right, but the
and she would
roommate thought
say,
it was
"That's so funny." But the roommate had this wonderful laugh, high and lilting.
Yes.
I have no warning this week. I have nothing to talk about. As
I
far
bet
as
you'll have something to say about my kind of warning.
Okay.
Do you have a recommend?
I wrote one down. I'm not really very, very passionate about it. I haven't really seen anything since the last podcast that made me go, I should tell people to watch this. So it became one of these things where I was looking through my Blu-rays and DVDs for movies that I own from the 90s that just don't get talked about anymore that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So I found The Count of Monte Cristo, and I've talked about it before.
Oh.
And I will go ahead and give that an actual recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people in this that you like, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not you, Barrett, but you people.
You
like
people.
Luis Guzman is pretty funny in this.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, and Jim Caviezel plays the lead role. It's a fantastic story. I don't know if you've ever read the book.
Mm-hmm.
Basically one of the best, most known revenge tales ever. Guy gets wrongfully imprisoned, sent to this shithole island rock prison where they pull him out of his cell once a year to whip him.
Nice.
Because they think it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells them when he first gets there he's innocent, and they were like, "Oh, I know you are." They don't send guilty people here. They send people here that they want to disappear.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he meets this priest in the next cell over who's trying to dig a tunnel. Old priest. Actor's name escapes me, of course. But you know him. Richard
Harris.
Richard Harris.
Who's a fantastic, great actor who's now dead, I believe. But he's playing this old priest. He agrees to basically teach Edmond, the main character, who's just a fisherman, basically. He's like second in command on some kind of boat, merchant boat or something. But he's a nobody. He's not educated. He doesn't have any money. And so over time, they work together to dig on the tunnel. Mm-hmm. And then they take breaks, and the old man teaches him everything from reading and writing to hand-to-hand combat, because this priest used to be a soldier. And then basically, I don't want to tell the whole story, but basically he gets out, finds a treasure, and piece by piece starts going after all the conspirators that together had him thrown in prison and wrongfully accused. And What this movie does really well, Guy Pearce is his best friend who's not that great a guy. Young Superman is in this. You guys enjoy this, don't you? You enjoy this.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Young Henry Cavill's in this. Stop enjoying it. It offends me. But it's like it's years and years later, like 17 years later, something like that, when he gets out of prison. But what this movie does well is moments. There are probably about 6 or 7 moments where the acting, the shot, the music, it just kind of works perfectly. And it's really kind of fun to watch these assholes get their comeuppance from a guy they all thought was dead.
Nice.
And if you don't want to watch the movie, at least read the book if you're into literature and good stories. Fantastic book.
I remember liking this movie. It's got a 7.8 on
That's
the
good.
IMDb.
That's good.
So that's very high.
I did used to feel like it was like a guilty pleasure, but maybe I just need to come out of my shell a little more with that.
And
You be you.
and Kevin Reynolds directed it too, which is another surprise. Considering
Made it all the way through a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably because Costner wasn't in it.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Kevin
elbowed him
Costner
out
wasn't
the
there.
way. I'm not even involved with this, but I'm
Oh,
going to
no.
fuck you
But you're
up.
fucking it up.
Oh no! But I heard Guy Pearce was like, "Fuck this! I'm going to start directing it." And then Edward Norton stepped in. I enjoyed it when I first watched it. I haven't seen it since, but I know that I liked it, and it looks like a lot of people like it.
Yeah, my wife really likes it, which is, after we got married, it just became one of those movies that we watched a lot because we both enjoyed it. That's kind of how I got introduced into it. And I think back over it, and I don't think there are any major flaws. It's not like you're going to watch it and go, fuck, that's the best thing I've ever seen. But you're going to have a good time. It's short and sweet, not very long. I recommend.
Yeah, I remember liking it too. My recommend, and I'll follow it up with my Recca Warn because I want to get your thoughts.
Recca Warn.
I actually watched. I usually never watch a show right when it premieres because I don't want to get involved in something that it's silly. I probably should take more chances, but I don't want to get involved in a show that isn't going to get legs, isn't going to get picked up. Doesn't receive much critical acclaim, stuff like that. So I rarely start right at the beginning. But I caught Starz aired Counterpart this last week.
Oh yeah, the J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. And man, it's good.
I heard it's good.
It's really good.
It's like about mirror universe or something?
So yeah, this is in the not too distant future. J.K. Simmons is this schlubby dude that works at this government agency, has no idea what he does, but what the bigger picture is. But he goes in and does the same thing every day, and he knows that it's a cog in a wheel, and he's trying to move up. He's trying to advance in the company to figure out what's going on. He gets denied, and things happen basically, and this is all in the trailer. Things happen to where they have to make contact with another person, comes in with a hood, they take off the hood. It's J.K. Simmons from another dimension, from another universe, who is smart and capable and suave and all that stuff. Basically, it's like schlubby J.K. Simmons versus Whiplash's J.K. Simmons, which he's played both of throughout his career. And so he gets to really like show off his range, and he's really, really good. This gives me like a lot of. Did you guys ever watch the show Fringe?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it
with Anna Torv and Joshua Jackson. I love that show.
Yeah, I heard it was great, and the problem with the Fringe was that I didn't like it enough to follow it around wherever it went on Fox's schedule all the time. So I watched like
the first on every day.
Yeah, I watched it like three or four episodes, maybe longer into it, but then it like. We don't know if it's going to get canceled or not, and then it would change, and it'd be like one of those Friday night shows or whatever. I don't know if it was on Friday.
It was on Friday at some point, yeah.
And so, like, I lose interest when it's exactly what you sort of prefaced this with the, you don't know if it's going to be a show that's going to last or whatever.
Yeah, I'm down with this type of, everything is going to be compared with the original X-Files at this point. Any sci-fi high concept thing is going to get that, or even maybe Lost, but. This one, I'm on board with the concept, just like I was with Fringe. Like it's got potential to have those standalone episodes, which Fringe did, inside of an overall mythology that you're kind of moving towards, and you don't have. It's not a concept where you have to move quickly towards it, so you can take your time. So early signs are good. It's only just the first episode, but it's really, really good.
You hear about that new Zemeckis show?
No,
I think it was announced yesterday. It sounds a lot like Lost. Basically, a plane full of people disappears, and then Shows back up 16 years later, and time hasn't moved for anybody on the plane.
See, if that's done like with a Robert Zemeckis style, I'm on fucking
Oh yeah,
board.
I mean, there are some premises that are good enough that I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
because it is kind of. I'm sure it was inspired by that Malaysian plane that disappeared, where the entire world realized we can actually lose planes.
yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't know that was possible. It's a big ocean, people. Let me warn you against a little movie I call Broke Down Palace.
Oh my God.
I'm flipping channels the other day.
Claire Danes,
young
Kate
Claire Danes,
Beckinsale.
and young Kate Beckinsale, and super young Paul Walker.
Yeah,
as a friend visiting. I always love that moment too because they're like old high school buddies, and 3 of them show up: Paul Walker and 2 other randos. They flew all the way to fucking Thailand to visit their old high school buddies.
Yeah.
Like, who would do that? I'd be like, oh man, it sucks that those people I used to know are in jail halfway around the country in a place where I'll probably get a disease. But I'm not gonna go all the way over there. And they're literally there for 30 seconds, and then
Just peace
visiting hours, and they're like. They're behind fences across like a ravine. They can't even like actually meet. They're like yelling across this ravine at each other. Anyway,
Like, all right, I guess it's
basic premise is this: Claire Danes and Kate Beckinsale, 2 young, attractive American girls, doing what we all do, going to Thailand for vacation.
Sure.
And they basically meet this Australian hunk who you later find out fucks both of them. But he invites them to Hong Kong. Kate Beckinsale really likes him, so Claire Danes decides to go. And then while they're in line, he flies out that night and buys them tickets for the next day. And while they're in line at the airport, the Thailand police come and arrest them because there's 6 kilos of heroin in their backpack.
Oh, shit.
And they go to third world prison, basically. And Kate Beckinsale signs a confession because it was in Thai, and she's stupid. And she thought they had typed up her statement of innocence. And then Bill Pullman is this American lawyer who married a Thai woman and lives there and fights legal causes for, I guess, anyone, but largely white people who are trapped in this Thai prison system. And boy, is this movie bland. It's just...
It's bland with all that premise?
Yes.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, because 80% of the movie ends up being them sulking around the prison yard in purple robes and crying and fighting. And the rest of the movie is Bill Pullman coming to visit them and talk to them on the other side of a screen. That's basically it. Like, I remember when this movie came out. I saw it in theaters. I'm pretty sure I was working at Hollywood at the time and built a print. And I had a Claire Danes thing. I think I've admitted that before. So, I was all in, premise alone. Like, I got to see this. And I remember being underwhelmed. But the other day I was flipping and I couldn't really remember, was this movie any good? All the girls are both attractive. It's not very long. Maybe I'll just check it out for a little. I ended up watching the whole thing. And I'm here to warn you, don't waste your time. You're not going to get done with that movie and go, fuck, that's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Right.
It's not that bad. There's just nothing there.
Watch the whole thing, man. That's the commitment that you had to this Warren.
It's actually, there just wasn't anything better on. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and watch a movie you don't like.
That was the thing. It was at Hollywood 27 because I remember like when we got that movie. Remember, we write stuff in a notebook saying, "Here's what we did" or whatever. And I think we had that movie for maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks or something like that.
It's quick.
And so it meant that once you broke that back down into reels, you would write in the notebook, broke down Palace. Those movies are almost never good. Stuff like Return to Paradise and Red Corner and all those movies are just the wrongfully accused and thrown into a prison and
Midnight Express.
Yeah, Midnight Express. Midnight Express. I mean,
that was the original.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know if that was the original, but it's the most known one. I don't even know if I like Midnight Express, to tell you the truth.
No.
But yeah, those are always. I guess it's just like because it's always immediately depressing.
Yeah.
And there's almost nothing that you can really put in that makes it super exciting and without being exploitation. That's why you have like Caged Heat and stuff like that.
A Caged Heat reference.
That's right.
SinCast.
That's right. Isn't Midnight Express the reference for the cable guy?
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah.
I mean, when at this point, this was 2002, you say?
Yeah.
So
no,
I
well,
was
I think that was kind of my Christmas. I think Broke Down Palace was 2002 as well.
somewhere in that area, and I was mid-20s.
No, it was 99.
All right. Two pretty girls I like. I already have a crush on one of them, and it's about a women's prison. There was no choice for me but to watch that movie. Now, as I'm older, that was not the lure this time. It was more of, what did I think of that movie? I don't quite remember.
That's
Now
another
I
one of
remember.
those movies that came out like in the wake of The Sixth Sense, like had no chance whatsoever. Yeah.
I feel like poor Claire Danes was like, this is going to be my Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
And she's just
Because
moping
she has,
around.
I mean, she's good in it. She has the most emotional range in the film, where she that cry face, that Claire Danes cry. So she's got the cry face at times, and one point she screams at I think it's the king, because there's like cops, but then and a legal system, but then at one point they get promised a pardon from the crown.
Oh.
It might be a prince or something, but there's some dude. They were lied to, by the way. He says no.
Oh.
And then she starts screaming at him, which is what you do in Thailand in the crown's royal chamber when you're begging for a pardon. You yell at them and
In
call
English.
them names. She does this the whole movie, by the way. She smokes pot in the prison, and like Bill Pullman's constantly saying, like, in Thailand, your entire personality is on trial here. If they can prove that you stole a Coke 10 years ago, it means that you are a thief, and like everything you do contributes to whether or not you ever get out of here. She just doesn't fucking care. She's just fighting people in the prison. She's angry. Anyway, don't watch that movie.
All right. Well, I've got a Recca Warren, as I mentioned.
Recca.
I don't know why I don't like this movie. I should like this movie, but I don't think I like this movie. Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh.
Man, and you could not get anybody that was more jazzed to see this movie. Like, I actually liked the original quite a bit. The trailer looked amazing. Roger Deakins again. Denis Villeneuve is the director. Ryan Gosling, who I'm always on board with. And it just seemed like a murderer's row of talent behind and in front of the camera. And so I was super psyched to watch this. Did it this week. And the entire step of the way, I was just like, all right, this is going to get moving for me. This is I'm going to end up liking this at the end. And it does progressively get, better and better and better. But at the end of it, man, by the way, 2 hours and 41 minutes.
I was going to say, it's like 6 hours long.
It's fucking long. Like I think I understand why things were done the way they were done. I think I understand why he stretches out those scenes and stretches out those beats and everything. It didn't work. It's beautiful. The performances are fine. The music is fine, but it did not work for me. I felt the same with this movie as you guys thought of the first movie.
Interesting. That might mean I love this one.
Which is probably, completely opposite from what most people think.
Well, you liked this one, right?
Yeah, I did. Now, what has happened ever since I have watched it is I've been asked about, 4 or 5 times on Facebook what I think of this movie. And I said, well, I watched it in the theaters and I liked it. I'm looking forward to my second viewing to sort of make sure whatever. I don't hate the original Blade Runner. I think it is way overrated, though. That's my main beef with it. But it's a movie that I would think would normally like if it had some sort of cultish following, like Escape from New York or something like that. I would like it a lot more or whatever. But it's one of those just whatever. But this one I really liked. But I'm gonna have to watch it a second time to really sort of like say, all right, did I really like that? Was I just sort of amazed by visuals when I first watched it and all that? It's I don't know. It's I'm just gonna have to watch it again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, the visuals are stunning, especially the Las Vegas stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they present Las Vegas visually is crazy. By the way, thinking about like this versus, this is only, do the math, 32 years in the future, right?
I don't know. Like, are
well,
you
2049?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't know when the. I guess you're talking about from actual time. Like, where's it?
I guess because the first one was in 2019.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was 2019.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So it's 32 years from now, or 31 now.
Yeah. But the way that they present Vegas is just so weird, and it is Vegas, but it's like completely futuristic, but then dystopic. They've got these giant statues, some of which were in the trailer, these giant statues of naked women doing all kinds of weird sex acts and everything.
All right.
But there's just so much lingering. You remember, I think we actually wrote a sin about this, about how in the original, it just goes on and on and on with nothing happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it does this in this. Almost every part drags on, I think, far too long. Now, eventually, there's a scene involving Harrison Ford towards the end where it takes him a while to get to an emotional place, and he does eventually get there. And when he does get there, it's kind of satisfying, but it takes him goddamn forever to get there. And it's like, did I really need to see that lead up all the way? They just cut to him crying? Okay, we're good. We're good. You know?
All I'm going to say is, it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it was one of the rare movies that did that I didn't feel like I was looking at my phone, looking at the time a lot.
And that's a lot of people have your opinion, probably the vast majority.
But
do.
like I said, gonna have to watch it again because it could be one of those where on the second viewing you just kind of start seeing, all right, could we have done something about this?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been, but. I really liked it. I do question sort of Jared Leto's character a bit.
Well, he bothers me on a lot of different levels.
But overall, I was down for it. So I don't know. It would definitely be a Reca-Warn because I'm recommending it, and you're sort of
I mean, I would say it's worth watching. Just kind of go into it knowing that it may not be all that you are anticipating. The other thing is it relies a lot on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I think when Aaron Dicer saw it, and I remember talking to him about it, and he was like, you don't have to see the original to really enjoy this one. I think you do. I think you need to have a lot of the backstory in order for this to come out. But anyway, just know that going into it, it wasn't near my expectations. It's not to say that it's terrible or that it's not even good. It just wasn't. It didn't work for me.
Well, I'm less excited about watching it now. Appreciate that. I do. I mean, part of me wants to say I wish Denis Villeneuve would concentrate on original stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But even Arrival was based on a short story, adapting somebody else's work. He's doing Dune next.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he would have skipped this and done Dune straight away after Arrival, because he does have a lot of talent and visual flair, and it's Blade Runner never felt like a movie that needed a sequel, much less one 32 years later or whatever the fuck.
No.
And I haven't seen it. Maybe something in the movie will make me go, this had to be made.
The concept is actually interesting about what, just the questions that were brought up in the original about what it means to be alive and to have worth and things like that versus the replicants versus the humans. And it gets taken to another degree in this movie. I think it was one of my favorite parts of the movie was the Joy character, the pleasure system, basically. Not for the reasons that you're probably thinking.
Oh.
But those concepts I think are fine and are interesting, and it's worthwhile to, I think, continue that. But it's all the other stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I can't wait for his Dune. That'll be fun.
I can't wait for his Dune.
Yeah, I want his Dune.
Yeah,
I want his Dune.
So do we want to move to our fantasy casting this week?
Is this just fantasy?
No stars.
No stars.
I want Bruce Willis.
Not Bruce Willis. No Schwarzenegger.
Julia Roberts. This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
So this is kind of a loose association, but I love the idea of this movie being recasted. Paul Thomas Anderson just, had Phantom Thread nominated for an Oscar. So we're going to do another Paul Thomas Anderson movie, Boogie Nights.
Mm-hmm.
This has a massive cast.
Yes, it does.
So why don't we dig in and see what we can do and what kind of movie we're going to make and who's going to be in it. What do you think, Chris?
Okay, so for Dirk Diggler, I'm going to go with Lucas Hedges, who
wow.
I thought maybe you'd found a way to do like an all Hispanic
no
Boogie Nights.
I did not. But Lucas Hedges, I think, has sort of the power that could do a Dirk Diggler.
He's got the touch.
Yeah.
This is the guy from Get Out that played the brother?
No, this is
The kid from Manchester by the Sea?
Manchester by the Sea. Yeah. Mark Wahlberg was 26 when he did Boogie Nights. It's hard to believe. Now I don't know if we have anybody that young who has that sort of, I don't know, that fresh-faced, maybe good-looking type of. I think Lucas Hedges fits the bill enough on this, and he's obviously a better actor than Wahlberg. But I think he would be good as this, especially as somebody who's, you can see him actually coming out of high school and everything. Wahlberg seemed very much like a guy in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
So, that's what we forget about the Dirk Diggler characters. He's basically just out of high school. He's like 18 or 19.
Yeah, living with his mom.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think Lucas Hedges can do that. For Jack Horner, I have Steve Carell. Think that would be a perfect. It's amazing they got Burt Reynolds in the first one. I feel like.
Does he like this performance? I forget.
Well, he doesn't like the movie. He
doesn't
thinks
like the movie.
He thinks it's too provocative. Is what I remember him.
He was
quote.
there when they filmed it, right?
Yeah, and he read the script and everything.
Well, I know everybody regrets doing this movie. Didn't Wahlberg say that they would cost him some of his soul or something like that?
I don't know.
He apologized for it.
Yeah.
For the church in a church meeting,
for a Catholic thing.
Yeah, I don't. That's really interesting because that's what took him off with
Exactly.
Boogie Nights. But Steve Carell, I think, would do a good Jack Horner. Carell, it's hard for me to believe, after seeing this guy on The Daily Show and doing Anchorman and Bruce Almighty and all that all of his weighty dramatic roles, he's just so good in them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
He's just solid. And so I feel like he would be a good Jack Horner.
It started with Little Miss Sunshine, I guess, right? Was his first
that would be
return?
that would be the first time I think I ever saw him super dramatic or whatever, even though he's got some
it was a good bridge.
But I mean, ever since almost everything that I see him in where he's just doing a drama, you're like, God, where you started on The Daily Show. You were the one of the correspondents. And everything. Now you're like an awesome actor. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Amber Waves, I've got Andrea Riseborough. Now, I don't know if you guys know who she is. She's been in a million things. She was in Birdman. She was the girl that told Michael Keaton she was pregnant.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
She's in Oblivion.
Uh-huh.
She's the Tom Cruise's wife in that. She's in a million things. She was in Battle of the Sexes. But I feel like now you can obviously.
She's Tom Cruise's wife or former wife? Which girl in Oblivion, the redhead or the brunette?
She's the main other actress in Oblivion.
Okay, but in the beginning, he's with a redhead up in the sky thing, and then they find the girl that was his real wife.
Yeah, not Olga Kurylenko.
Okay,
who's
the
other
redhead.
One. The other main one.
All right.
That's her. Now she's redheaded. I guess you can pretty much make anybody redheaded if you wanted to. But with Amber Waves, he picked Julianne Moore, who let's go for the natural, right? I mean, maybe Andrea Riseborough isn't natural. Maybe I just think she is or whatever.
Well.
Who knows? But anyway, that's the first one.
You can just see the wheels turning.
I can't believe what we're talking about without actually talking about it. I wonder if her carpet matches the pubes.
Yeah. For Reed Rothschild, who's the John C. Reilly character, I have Adam Driver.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
And John C. Reilly obviously has got that look that's like, whoa, you're a porn star? Really? and hard to believe also John C. Reilly was 32, I believe, when Boogie Nights came out. And he had been around for a while.
Yeah.
But
doesn't he fuck like a champ?
He does, man.
What do you bench?
Yeah. But Adam Driver, I think he's probably considered good looking or whatever, but he's got an unusual look, I think. And I think that and maybe I'm basing too much on what the other actors were playing or whatever, but I feel like Adam Driver could fit that reprint. Now, he might be too big to play such a character role now, but I don't know. I feel like he would be great in that role.
Yeah, no, I like it.
For Buck Swope, I have Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh man, that's perfect.
Yeah. And I can't wait to start seeing him in a million things because I think he's going to blow up at some point. If he hasn't really already, with all the stuff that he is at Atlanta and Get Out and all that. But I think he would be a good Buck Swope. For Little Bill, which is the William H. Macy character, I have Walton Goggins.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one.
So yeah, I think he would be good in that. Roller Girl have Cara Delevingne.
Nice.
Now
A bit of an androgynous roller girl.
Yeah. Now she can pull off being like smoking hot.
No,
too,
I don't disagree at all.
But now I was conscious during this that when we were casting these, I understand that there's people out there who are like, you just want to see her naked, don't you? Like I'm not going to worry myself with that, but no, that's not the reason I picked these people or whatever. If that was the case, I'd pick a litany of other
Yeah, well, everybody's naked in this fucking movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for Jack Horner, I guess.
Right. But Cara Delevingne looks like somebody who has, and now she's actually in high school taking classes. Roller Girl is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's either underage or barely 18. And Cara Delevingne, I think, could play that. Now, Heather Graham was 27.
Really?
Yeah. She pulls off looking like a teenager pretty good in this, I think, or younger. But Cara Delevingne, I think, probably looks a little bit more like someone straight out of high school.
But can she roller skate?
Oh, boy. Might have to have a 2-week course or something.
Oh, she's got to work on that accent, too, man. Like, the Brits are so much better about doing an American accent than Americans are at a British accent. But man, hers gets lost a lot.
Well, I didn't even know she was British.
You just keep her British. And
a British roller girl?
Yeah, why not?
Interesting.
And then, was Heather Graham like really amazing? I mean,
are we gonna fuck?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
She was good. It wasn't like that's not the performance in the movie you're gonna focus on really. Scotty J, which is the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, I have Ezra Miller playing that one.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, I think Ezra Miller is sort of like a Philip Seymour Hoffman almost. Like I think he can play anything. I think he's one of our best like up and coming actors and everything, and he's very young. I think he could do anything that Philip Seymour Hoffman does down the line.
Interesting.
And I think he could play Scotty J pretty well, especially if you watch stuff like Perks of Being a Wallflower and that cameo he has in Trainwrecked and all that. He can do pretty much.
Who is he in Trainwreck?
He's the underage guy that Amy Schumer brings back and like thinks that she's gonna fuck him and everything until she realizes that
he's like 16.
Yeah, he's 16.
He keeps. Oh, that's a hilarious scene. You should watch that again.
Oh yeah. For Rahad Jackson, I have Peter Sarsgaard playing that. Rahad Jackson's the Alfred Molina character.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, man.
Peter Sarsgaard in that would be awesome. I think. For Todd Parker, which is the Thomas Jane character, I have Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh, that's an interesting term.
Thomas Jane was like 27 or 28 when he did this.
And he was essentially, I don't think I've ever seen him play a part like this.
No,
again.
He's always been an everyman. He looks exactly like Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah.
I mean, he's always played this everyman dude, the Aaron Brockovich, and well, that's Aaron Brockovich.
Thank you for smoking.
Yes,
The Dark Knight.
Exactly. The Dark Knight. All those movies that Thomas Jane's known for.
Okay, so when we're done with your recasting, I want to tell a Dark Knight anecdote.
Okay. For the Colonel, which is the Robert Ridgely character who ends up in jail at the end of it.
Rightfully so.
Kevin Kline, I'm going to have for him.
Man, I want to see more Kevin Kline these days.
I do too. It's been a long time since we've seen him. He used to be in everything, and maybe family life got to him or whatever. He needed to spend time with the kids or something. But it's time now, motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
He's got such perfect comic timing.
Yeah, he does, and he's over 70 now, and I think Robert Ridgely was around that age.
He's old enough to be in one of those Las Vegas movies.
Yeah, he is. But okay, so for Floyd Gondoli, the Philip Baker Hall character, I have J.K. Simmons.
Oh yeah, man.
Philip Baker Hall has probably one of the best lines in Boogie Nights.
Yes, he does.
Where he's like, I like the simple things in life. I like butter in my ass, lollipops in my mouth.
That's just me.
It's just me. You can see Robert Ridgely in the background cracking up for real in the background during that scene.
Because it's said so casually. Because everything else is like, here's you got to go to VHS, chick. Listen, I like the simple things. Butter in my ass, lollipop in my ass. It's just me.
And what I really like is to see people fucking. I really like to see people fucking on film. So you can see J.K. Simmons saying that shit too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
For Maurice, the Luis Guzman character, I have Lavelle Crawford, who's Huel of Breaking Bad fame.
Oh, Huel.
Yeah, Huel.
Give Huel some more work.
That's right. Lavelle Crawford, who I believe is a stand-up comic, when he's not doing acting and stuff like that. I think he's a.
I like that the introduction to the Huel character essentially is that like he has to go blow up Walter's bathroom.
Yeah.
He like knocks on the door and Saul's like, can he use your bathroom? Digestive issues. And he just like this 500-pound dude just ambles up the stairs.
Yeah. And I think it's the first time we hear his name too. And they're like, yeah, Huel needs to use it or whatever. And like Anna Gunn or somebody's like, Huel? And for Becky Barnett, you want my vagina clean, don't you?
That's a good impression.
I have Naturi Naughton, who played Lil' Kim in Notorious.
Oh,
interesting.
Never saw Notorious.
She's been in a ton of things, but that's her biggest role is playing Lil' Kim in Notorious. And
I like that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that pop song.
What's that?
No.
Duran Duran.
Notorious.
Yeah. Also, the Alfred Hitchcock film. I know that there's other, like Ricky Jay has a character in there. I didn't have anything for him, but I know there's like a million others.
Oh yeah,
probably
we could
come up with.
Gone down the rabbit hole. I like your cast.
All right. Awesome.
I think we made a sin about this in the Dark Knight Sins video.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest pet peeve with this movie, I have a few, and it's one of my favorite movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest pet peeve is that about partway through the movie, when Morgan Freeman finds out money's been funneled into this secret division for a project he doesn't know about, he talks to Bruce Wayne about it, and Bruce Wayne is like, I'm kind of keeping this one close to the vest.
Oh, yeah.
And then later, when Batman rescues Harvey Dent from the Joker's attack, Dent, the doors get opened, and there's Commissioner Gordon, or Detective Gordon, who's supposed to be dead, and he says, oh, Gordon, you do like to play things close to the chest. Now, there's several things about this that bother me.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, basically the same phrase twice in one movie.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever noticed that shit? Second of all, it's Bruce Wayne. It's four characters. Like Two-Face and Gordon weren't there when Batman said it to Morgan Freeman.
That's true.
So it can't even be a callback.
I guess that's why he screwed up the phrase.
And it really bothers me. Okay, so then yesterday I'm reading this article that somebody had done an interview with Christopher Nolan, and then specifically for this article I was reading how to pull a quote for him talking about the way Heath Ledger went about the performance in that. And the point of the quote is basically he didn't really tell Nolan everything he was going to do. He kind of gave him a general idea because he wanted to keep it spontaneous. And the last line of the quote from Nolan in this interview is, I think he was playing his cards close to the chest on that character. I think Christopher Nolan's obsessed with this phrase.
Apparently. I hate that fucking phrase.
I don't like it. I don't like that it appears twice with different variations in the same movie between characters that never heard the first. But now he's still saying it. It's 10 years later.
Nobody
it's still
says
just
that.
coming out of his mouth.
Yes.
Yeah, there was we did do that in the Sins video for sure. I remember this. I know I read something in Cracked also where they brought this up, and I don't remember which one came first, but I remember seeing that in Cracked as well. That is such a weird thing in that movie because it's clear that he thought that those two characters had said that to each other before. So maybe it was a scene that was cut out, or maybe he really was thinking of this other scene with two completely different other characters.
But he watched the film before it was released, right?
Mhm.
Like the first time I saw the movie, I caught that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it could be something, that you just dismiss even as a director.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, that's totally. I know what that means.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So-
drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
then he's still tossing. It's like he's taunting me. It's like he knows I hate that.
He's
that
definitely
he knows going to read that article.
definitely taunting you.
I'm going to go watch Inception again tonight. I guarantee you somebody says that in there.
Yeah.
You do like
Probably
to keep
so.
your dreams close to the chest.
Mhm.
Me?
What's your cast?
My cast. So I want to change it up a little bit, right? If I'm going to remake this movie with modern talent, I'm going to go with kind of a raunch comedy Judd Apatow style
I like this.
of telling this story. And I think that necessitates removing some of the epicness, because this movie goes from late 70s all the way through the 90s, close to the end of the 80s.
It's 70s to 80s, I think.
So it spans 2 decades. And I'm gonna cut back on some of that, and just for some spice, for some reason I decided to make a murder mystery part of this.
Oh.
Somebody accidentally dies, nobody knows who, but it was somebody in this porn family that did it. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I am. So now, if with the Apatowian raunch comedy feel in mind, we're still going to be R-rated. It's still going to be nudity. These people are still going to be showing their dicks and things.
Yeah.
But it's going to be funny. It's going to
Dicks
be
and
straight out
things?
comedy. Dicks and things.
Bits and pieces.
You want my thing clean, don't you? For Dirk Diggler, I'm going to go with our boy Zac Efron. Give him a chance to stretch a little bit.
He can still kind of play. He can still kind of play like a high school or college kind of kid.
I
Can
think
he?
so. He's going to be one of those guys that can
Even
do that
though
until he's 50.
He's 30 now.
Yeah, that's old.
He's getting a little bit veiny though.
A little veiny.
Yeah, I mean he's just
Perfect for Dirk Diggler, right?
It's just so goddamn
Yeah.
carved.
Yeah.
It's like
Plus, I'd like to believe he wouldn't need a prosthetic for the final shot of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I have this feeling that Zac Efron has a huge dick.
I'm a star. I'm a star. I'm a star.
All right, Jack Horner, which is Burt Reynolds. I'm going to bring in Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
nice.
He's going to get a little skeezy.
Oh my God.
he can totally play this.
He'll be the perfect Jack Horner in this movie. No
You
doubt.
just see him looking straight ahead. And when she says, "Are we gonna fuck?" Oh yeah.
In many ways, this is like the greatest hits of Apatow's movies. I'm
Yeah.
basically just stealing people from all of his good movies. All right, Amber Waves. Right?
Mhm.
All right, Julianne Moore. I'm going with Leslie Mann.
Yeah.
Apatow's wife.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She's right around the right age.
Right around the right age. Could play that motherly kind of thing pretty well. She's funny.
Mm-hmm.
She's comfortable with her body.
Yeah.
Dye her hair red, right? Or the character could
Well,
just
that was an
be
interesting
blonde.
thing, right? Like, I don't mean to be on a nudity tangent here, but I'm about to go on a nudity tangent.
Awesome.
But it was the Change Up, I believe, where like it's Jason Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. Is that what the movie? The Change
Yeah.
Up?
Well, it's another one of those switch
Yeah, it's
identities.
another switch
things, yeah.
identities. So there's a nude scene for Leslie Mann in that, but it was completely digital.
Yeah.
Huh.
And even Olivia Wilde, who has no trouble getting naked in movies, it was digital nudity or whatever. And they're like, okay, all right, so we're doing digital nudity now, all right. And then later on, in This Is 40, Leslie Mann like made a big deal about when I go into the breast exam thing, that is me right there. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why did we go one way in this one movie and then not, I don't understand that. I don't understand the politics of that.
It's probably helped that with This Is 40, it was her husband behind the camera. That he might have been able to make a safer environment. And her own kids are playing her kids in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you were that kid?
I don't know.
Your dad talks about you in stand-up comedy. You see your mom naked in the movie that you're in. It's got to be a weird life.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Reed Rothschild, John C. Reilly character. I'm going with Ryan Gosling.
Ooh.
And I want him to channel that nice guy's character.
Oh, yeah.
Bring the comedy.
Yeah.
He was really funny on SNL too, I think.
He was.
And I just think there's comedy there. I want to bring him into the Apatow fold.
He's got to just tamp down that fake ass Brooklyn accent that he has occasionally, and do like a La La Land. He was very good in Blade Runner 2049. He was very good in The Nice Guys. like he's really starting to, I guess, like develop a little bit more.
Do you think he has an affected Brooklyn accent?
I do.
Like
and
he's trying to do that?
correct. Yeah, right around Crazy Stupid Love, I think is where it got the worst.
All right, so for Buck Swope, the Don Cheadle character, I'm going with Gerard Carmichael.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
Gerard, not Gerard, but you know what I'm talking about. The guy who in Neighbors 2 says sometimes you got to suck a dick.
That's
to
right.
know you don't like sucking dick.
He is awesome. His stand-up is awesome.
Yeah, his stand-up
He's
is
funny
great.
as fuck in everything I've ever
Apparently,
seen.
his sitcom is
Sitcom
really
was
good.
supposed to
Yeah.
be great too, but they canceled it. Well, let's give him some work. I like that guy. Little Bill, William H. Macy. I'm going with Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I just mostly I want him to do that one line
Yeah.
where my wife's got a ass in her cock in the driveway.
Yeah.
I realized yesterday Pineapple Express was on, and he has nearly stolen so many great comedies. Because he's like the black and white guy smoking item 9 down in the military bunker at the
Yeah.
beginning of Pineapple Express. And he's like, item 9 is the bee's knees. And like his thing goes out and he's like, can I get a light? And they're like, well, send someone in. And a guy in like a scuba costume comes in. The face Bill Hader makes when he looks at it because he's totally stoned, but he's also freaking out about this guy. God, I love Bill Hader. But he also nearly steals Forgetting Sarah Marshall a couple different times. He's just solid. Roller Girl, Heather Graham. I'm going with Kat Dennings.
Yeah. Kat Dennings.
She's maybe a little older than.
Yeah, Kat
I don't know
Dennings
if she can pull off a high school girl.
I think she's above 30 at this point.
I think she is at this point.
Yeah.
I made horrible choices on my age.
But I mean, it's not like she can't play younger, like college age or anything like that. There's some actors you watch them age and everything, and even though they're like, you know, in their 30s, they still seem like they can do the 20s, where some don't. It's just,
well, it's also a scientific fact. If you put a girl in pigtails, she immediately de-ages 10 years.
that's true. It's very true.
I didn't feel like that was that wrong until I was done saying it. And I was like, well, why did I say this?
I've been way through, like, well, might have committed.
That's right.
Might as well keep going. Scotty, the Philip Seymour Hoffman, super awkward guy with a crush on Marky Mark, is going to be Clark Duke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love me some Clark Duke.
I do too, and it's weird to me that he's not more popular or famous than he is. Because he's generally pretty good in everything I've seen him in. It just feels like his co-stars always end up outshining him and getting more of the attention.
Oh man, he steals Sex Drive completely. That movie, and I feel like he's memorable in other stuff that I can't remember right now.
He was in Bad Moms for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. He'll get into something for like 3 seconds, and it's, you know, he's gone after that. But he started his career with Michael Cera.
Yep.
They used to do all those online videos and stuff, and I thought he was going to be, just based on knowing Michael Cera, he was going to go
Right.
But yeah, he's always been that kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about him type of actor that they put in movies.
Isn't he in Kick-Ass? Isn't he one of his friends? Kick-Ass's friends?
Oh, I think he is, yeah.
I think he is. All right, moving on. I'm dragging us down. I'm going to steal one of Chris's, but in a different role. And for the Colonel, I'm going to go with Steve Carell.
Ah, there we go.
I think you put some aging makeup on him. I think he'd do good playing a pervert. Rahad Jackson, the Alfred Molina guy, the crazy guy on coke shooting a gun around. I'm going to give that to Danny McBride.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah. Isn't it Sister Christian that's playing in that scene?
Yeah. Well, part of it. I think there's more than one song that plays. in
Yeah,
that
there's
scene.
a couple. Yeah.
And the guy's lighting up caps. That's an unsettling scene.
It is.
All right. So for the Thomas Jane character, I said any Hemsworth brother.
Yeah.
I got called out because it's Miley is dating Liam Hemsworth, not Luke. I said Luke last week.
That's all right. I get them all.
That was-
all
my
the
reply-
non-Chris Hemsworths
yes,
run together.
My reply was there are too many Hemsworths.
That was a thing that I did not pick up on during the actual recording, and then I heard it in the actual, like, going back over it, and I was like, I mean, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, like, it's Luke, I'm sorry, and there's nothing you can do about it, you know?
Nice job, Barrett. You buck up.
Exactly.
For the Philip Baker Hall character, I'm going to give that to Adam Sandler.
Oh, I like that a lot.
And again, I can see him saying that line and selling the gruffness of that character. And then
you realize this movie, even though those lines that we're talking about are going to be in there, there's going to be a whole bunch of other lines.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be improv out the ass.
Yeah.
You get all these people together. All right, the last two, the Luis Guzman character, I'm giving to Jonah Hill.
Oh, nice.
Even though I guess he's slimmed down enough He's not going to look physically as much like Luis Guzman as he would have like 5 years ago. And then for the Becky Barnett, you want my vagina clean, don't you?
Yeah.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Nice.
Zoe Kravitz.
Honestly, if I had a chance, I would put Zoe Kravitz in basically every movie I made.
Yeah. I'd be down with that.
Yeah. I think she's earned that through sheer nepotism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Her dad alone. I have so much respect for the man. I'm just
Do you
kidding.
really? Okay, good.
No, she's hot, and I was trying not to sound like a pervert.
Right.
My version is going to take on a different Paul Thomas Anderson type of vibe. So I like Inherent Vice. I've decided I like it. In fact, I really like it.
You had to decide it, though.
I like it. Well,
That
no,
tells you something.
Yeah. But it's got this smoky haze over the entirety of it, you know? Like nothing's very sharp. Maybe just the stuff with Martin Short, but like everything else is just kind of like this vague stoner type of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of vibe I'm going for. Southern California stoner vibe here. So for my Dirk Diggler, I'm going to go with Dane DeHaan.
Yeah.
Dane DeHaan,
Dean DeHaan.
I'm starting to think is a bad actor.
Mm-hmm.
but so was Mark Wahlberg.
Yep. Yep.
I did not realize, because I hadn't seen Chronicle in a while, when we did Valerian, this is his voice, I guess, the way that he talks like this.
Yeah, I mean, man, I don't like being mean. In fact, there are many times we'll write things in scripts and I'm like, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go that far and everything. It's somebody that I feel like can be good if you put him in the right thing, but everything I've seen him in, Amazing Spider-Man and like, you know, and I saw that Cure for Wellness and all that.
I saw that.
There's something about him.
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know. It's just so
He's got
goddamn
this
goofy.
weird thing about him, man.
I know. And that's how he talks. This is how I talk. Ain't you seen my movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but I think he can play this blank slate. I know he's a little bit too old for the role, but I think he can play this blank slate of stoner, Wahlbergy type of character that, you know, probably has a giant penis.
Right.
So going on this stoner weird affectation vibe, my Jack Horner's going to be Keanu Reeves.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Man, we're like, hopefully we'll be able to see them talking so that we'll know who's
They're
saying
exactly
what.
the same actor.
Exactly. Yeah.
But Keanu is now, 52 or something like that?
Yeah.
So he's right. Yeah, he's still a little bit younger, I guess, than Burt Reynolds. How old was Burt Reynolds? when
Burt
he did
Reynolds
that?
was, I think, in his 60s when he did Boogie Nights. He was 61 when he did it.
But Canute's getting up there, and I think he could probably play like a kingpin of a porn empire.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in this universe. For Amber Waves, I really like this choice. The Julianne Moore character, Catherine Watterson.
Yeah.
Who was literally in Inherent Vice.
Yes, she was.
And has worked with Paul Thomas Anderson before. And I think she can play like wizened, motherly, cracked out.
She's about the same age that Julianne Moore was in Boogie Nights.
All
too.
right.
So,
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it. For the Reed Rothschild, John C. Reilly character, I'm glad that you didn't choose this for your Apatow thing. Seth Rogen.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just felt like, well, actually, no, you wrote your answers first. That's why I didn't choose Seth Rogen.
Okay. Yeah. Seth Rogen could probably dig deep and kind of come up with, obviously got the stoner vibe.
Yep.
And kind of become the buddy with Dane DeHaan here.
Mm-hmm.
For Buck Swope, for the Don Cheadle character, I actually wrote a note about this. I actually wanted to cast a black actor in this role because it's part of his character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important to keep that character African American. So Donald Glover, your Atlanta co-star, Donald Glover has that kind of chill appearance in a lot of the stuff that he does, even when he's playing a nerd in The Martian. Like he's just kind of got this like. It's not a stoner vibe, but it's kind of a chill vibe.
Yeah.
All right.
For the Little Bill, William H. Macy, I don't know where the fuck this came from. David Krumholtz.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It literally just jumped into my brain because I was thinking about
I like that guy.
Yeah.
He is schlubby. He's unkempt.
Yeah.
He's put upon. He's neurotic. And David Krumholtz, who I guess is probably best known for Harold and Kumar movies.
Numbers. Yeah.
Oh, Numbers. I never. Did you watch Numbers?
I watched all of Numbers.
Yeah, I
like that
watched
show.
the first
Interesting.
2 or 3 seasons of it, and then I got tired
It was
of it.
one of the last
Rob Morrow
procedurals.
was
Yeah,
Rob Morrow,
and their dad was
Judd Hirsch.
Yeah, Judd Hirsch.
Interesting.
And one of the reasons I liked that show, it was very good. It ended every single episode with just an upbeat brother moment or father-son moment or family moment every single time. Like the show was almost as much about the three of their relationships as it was everything else. Preposterous premise.
Yeah.
That the FBI is going to start regularly bringing in a mathematician to help them solve crimes faster. And it got a little goofy the ways they kept trying to keep him involved.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I liked that show. David Krumholtz is a super likable guy.
Yeah, he could totally do it. For my roller girl, I'm going to go with Bella Thorne.
Yep.
She's already living this.
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of Bella Thorne. Now she's on. What is she? What was her best
Disney.
or biggest?
I mean, I guess Disney, and then she was on that MTV Scream for a series, like for 2 episodes.
I think she's known for tabloid news
She's
as
known
much as
for
anything
social
else.
media more than like an actual show.
Yeah,
but that's
although
kind of perfect for this role.
I saw her in that movie that Jonathan was talking about the babysitter.
Was she in that?
She's in that. That was the first time I thought she was really like I really noticed acting as far as like everything else I've seen her in. They have put her in as eye candy or whatever, and but that one was pretty good.
Wasn't she in the Medea movie?
Yeah, she was.
The Halloween movie?
Oh, was she in the frat party thing?
I don't remember.
No, she
I just
was
remember
one of the friends.
Yeah, one of the daughter's friends or something.
Yeah,
then she was in that Amityville remake.
Yeah, she was in that we tried to come out with the Amityville horror movies videos
for a year and a half.
They fucked us. Speaking
but
of
no,
fucking.
she would be perfect for Roller Girl. For sure.
Scotty J, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Okay, I reached a little bit for this because he's too old, but Jack Black obviously has the stoner vibe. Obviously has
Could play that character.
can be awkward and stuff like that. Doesn't it looked like Philip Seymour Hoffman was much older than Mark Wahlberg, even though he had this almost childlike demeanor. You know, so I think he could play that. I like Rahad Jackson, the Alfred Molina character, is going to be James Franco. This is bad timing, but can't you imagine him out there in his robe waving his fucking gun around?
Perfect for him. Yeah,
absolutely.
So it's actually almost like a miracle that Alfred Molina, who's not known for that kind of character, could pull that character off so perfectly. You know, I love that. I went big for my last 3 picks, by the way. For the Colonel, for the Robert Ridgely character, I'm going with Bobby D, Robert De Niro.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I hear you have a large cock.
Yeah.
May I see it?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Can you imagine De Niro saying that?
Oh my God, I think it'd be fun. For the Floyd Condoli, the Philip Baker Hall is going to be John Travolta.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Travolta and De Niro back together again.
Yes.
I like butter in my ass and a lollipop in my mouth.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it'd be fun as hell.
Yeah.
And for my Todd Parker, the Thomas Jane character, can't get better than Ben Foster.
Oh, Ben Foster's the best.
Yep.
Ben Foster is the best.
Thomas Jane, though, goes from 0 to 60 quickly in that movie.
In the safe, under the bed. No, we're not gonna go anywhere. Let's get the fucking safe and the fucking money. The fucking.
I don't know why they don't fucking leave. They just stick around. They see the guns come out, and they're like, "Oh shit! Oh shit!
Come on, you puppies!"
You want to do some questions?
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
Questions.
Okay. Question for you guys: what movie do you really enjoy about a topic that you couldn't care less about? Hold on. Is it could care less or couldn't care less?
It is couldn't care less.
Couldn't care less. So this is an educated list. We've got educated people in our audience.
I do think it's very much like regardless and irregardless in that
it is, but they're
people just accept it.
Wrong. I mean, like it's yes, people know what you mean. Communication just means we know what you mean when you say it. It's still wrong. I don't care. Well, yeah, could care less means you could care less. Like I can care less than this.
Right.
So yeah, I agree. I think people know what you mean when you say, I've said could care less 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
But it's wrong.
Anyway, but this listener is correct. So congratulations there. Anyway, what movie could you really enjoy about a topic you couldn't care less about? For example, baseball puts this person to sleep, but they think Moneyball is awesome and has seen it many times. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. That's a great question.
You know, in a way, we are going to be doing reductionist type of thing here because a lot of the movies that we find fascinating, you know, we're going to be like, well, that's really, when you just narrow it down to its very essence, is just about this.
Right.
Even though there's so much more going on. So like Moneyball could have been about just stats and like a bunch of like, you know, data, like Goodwill Hunting shit coming or whatever. But it's, you know, it's got a family drama in it. It's got his own personal whatever. So there's a lot of things in Moneyball that, I mean, it's not even, you don't really see much baseball in Moneyball.
Yeah, I guess not.
But I know what he means. I mean, it's so like Chinatown.
Yeah.
It's a murder mystery. It may disqualify it because there is a murder involved, but think about what the story is behind it. It's about a water shortage in California.
Yeah.
And incest.
And incest. Sure. It's about a wealthy person going around buying a whole bunch of land to put the water in the right spot.
Yeah.
And just he's going to deliver the water to this new neighborhood and so on and so forth. That's the like real backdrop of Chinatown.
Yeah. It's also deliberately paced too.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, slam bang Nicholson's out there beating ass or anything like that. Like it's about water shortage and it takes its time.
Right. Yeah. So like you see him going around like, you know, looking at the land and all this other type of stuff. And it's like, but then you add other elements to the movie and it's very exciting. Another one that I thought of was Stand and Deliver.
Right.
This is a movie with Edward James Olmos where he teaches, I guess, kids that are normally not put into classes like this. He tries to teach them calculus.
Yeah.
And so the movie is about fucking calculus. And it's an interesting story because yes, he taught kids who would never be given the chance to learn calculus, you know, in a high school or whatever. I remember watching this movie in high school, and Lou Diamond Phillips has the line where he's like, "Hey, Chemo, what is calculus?" You know, or whatever. and we just went around saying that all the time. And because I was one of those nerdy kids who's in calculus. What is calculus? But that's another one. Yeah. I mean, you were talking about teaching calculus. That's the movie. But it's so much more riveting than that everything. Yeah. So there you go.
Nice.
This was fun. Yeah. I cheated on all my answers, I think. Like the first thing I thought of was The Informant, which arguably is about lysine and corn syrup.
Oh, it is. It is for sure.
And, you know, it ends up being the only reason I thought it might get disqualified is that there is an FBI investigation and an informant. He's wearing a wire. And I think that is probably interesting to some people. So I settled on...
they fired the glutamate guy.
Yeah, he's out of a job. The glutamate guy. I've seen this movie way too many times. If you haven't seen The Informant, please watch it. It's fantastic. I'm going to go with Locke, which is basically a movie about marital infidelity, driving, and concrete pouring.
Yeah.
It's about the poor.
And it's one of the most riveting movies I've ever seen.
It's so good.
And I wish Tom Hardy would do nothing but make movies like this where he just gets to act his ass off and single-handedly hold my attention.
Can you imagine making sequels to this movie where he's always in a fucking car? Like...
They should do that just as a joke.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Locke 2.
Like he spent like 5 years with the baby mama, and then he's like, well, before I left to go see you in the hospital, I got my wife pregnant.
Oh shit, that'd be funny.
My seed knows no bounds.
All right, so we've talked about how The Social Network is a weird premise to base like a riveting movie on, which is interesting. It's another Aaron Sorkin Moneyball influence.
Yep.
But it's not only about like a social networking site, but it's about like IP and suing
Lost-
for that,
Yeah.
lost revenue.
Legalese.
Yes, and the building of a company and stuff like that. So it's amazing that this movie is as riveting as it is. But I'm going to settle on The Firm.
Yeah.
The Firm is about fucking tax laws, man.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, the first big John Grisham book that really hit like in the early 90s, late 80s. And, you know, Tom Cruise and all those guys and Gene Hackman make it really, really riveting. This is a great, great movie. A lot of fun to watch. You know, edge of your seat, but it's about fucking tax laws.
Yeah.
Like, he gets recruited as a tax attorney, and like the first part of it is him studying for the bar.
Yeah.
And that takes fucking forever
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And then, you know, the way that he gets himself out of this is to say that they're overbilling their
Overbilling evidence.
Yeah.
Overbilling.
like, he literally gets in front of the mob boss and he's like, this rampant overbilling is what's really harming the business. I'm like, okay, that's the resolution. But you follow it the whole step of the way. You got the Holly Hunter character that's just like, you know, gets in all this subterfuge and all that stuff. You've got the albino. You've got, man, it's a really fun movie. But it's about fucking tax
I
laws.
love that line though at the end after he does that with the mob guys and Ed Harris comes storming into his house and he's mad and he's like, "This is what you got. This is what you got for me." Like, overbilling. And there's this, I don't know the verbatim quote, but like Tom Cruise is like, "Have you really looked at that? There's a blah 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 and somebody counts a blah 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 blah. That's more than you had on Capone." And Ed Harris's face is like, you could tell he processes that for a minute, but he's still going to be angry for a while. Anyway,
Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
Isn't that? I feel like that's what Matt Damon's character in The Informant is talking about. He says Crichton novel, but I think he's mixing up Crichton with Grisham.
he might be. He actually is a shot in the movie where he's at the theater watching The Firm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he says later on, everything that happened to Tom Cruise in The Firm happened to me.
Yeah.
But I think the Crichton reference is a different. I think it's a different scene where he makes the Crichton reference.
Yeah, he keeps saying that though, like it's out of some Crichton novel, and like everything he describes is really more out of a Grisham.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever mentions Grisham in this whole thing, but Crichton, you know, you think about the Crichton novels.
He might have been talking about Rising Sun.
There's not very many conspiracy type things in Crichton novels. And so I've always found it funny that he says Crichton when I think he means Grisham all the way.
Which
through.
would be within character.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be within character. Because he's the guy that says, "I'm 0014.
Yeah.
And I was like, why 0014? Because I'm twice as smart as James Bond.
Yeah, exactly. That'll do it for this week. Keep going to the SinCast presented by Cinemasins Facebook page. Keep going to SoundCloud. We've got a Twitter. We've got an email. There's a million ways to come and talk to us after the fine program that you have just listened to, where we may have said more dirty things than we have ever said in one episode.
Well, I'm glad I'm not alone. I was sitting here thinking this might be one of the pervier episodes.
Oh, all right.
Right.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
It is, really is.
Yeah. So if you want to sound off on that and say, guys, you were a little bit horny in this episode, go ahead. We can take it. We've been caught a lot worse.
We're much more likely to hear sounding off about my lack of respect for cinematographers and editors.
Yeah, no
that's
kidding.
much more likely to happen.
Yeah, maybe so. But anyway, that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Agnons and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
For some reason, I woke up with "We Built This City" in my head, and I was like, man, I haven't thought about this song in 20 years. Walking around with PJs singing "We Built This City."
Mm-hmm. What is this? That was Starship, right?
Yes,
That was the Mannequin soundtrack.
Yeah.
That is the evolution of Jefferson Airplane.
Yeah. I remember somebody I knew was making his own movie, and there was a whole dialogue thing about how Jefferson Airplane went to Jefferson Starship, and you would think that there would be some sort of evolution in the music going from an airplane to a starship, but there really wasn't.
It was a devolution.
Yes.
And then they dropped the Jefferson, right?
Yeah, and it was just Starship.
But back earlier than that, that's the band that originally did the song Jim Carrey Karaoke's and Cable Guy.
Yep. Yes. Yes, I can tell an immediate difference with these mics.
Yeah.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. Except for Barrett's. He sounds like poo.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the old mic.
Say you don't know me.
He
don't recognize my face.
He would have the good mic, but then one of the mics is a bastard.
Is a buzzy.
Yeah.
Say you don't care who goes.
But you know what? That's what's good about Amazon. You can send back anything and just say, hey, it's fucked up, and then they'll give you a replacement. And it's usually very easy to do.
Or if you're like me, you'll buy another one because you want it faster, and then you'll forget to send back the bad one.
I've done that.
The only thing I wish they would implement is an "Are you drunk right now?" button.
Yeah.
Based on, because I mean, I had tweeted a couple years ago, but it was totally true that I woke up one morning, went down, was checking my Amazon, and I had loaded a fucking PlayStation 4 into my shopping cart and somehow managed to not click that buy now.
Mm-hmm.
And there are definitely some other purchases that have been made while under the influence. And usually it would help me a lot personally if they would put like a Jeremy, are you drunk right now?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I read about an app you can get for your phone that double checks based on the time of day that you're not drunk dialing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I read about something like that. It would just be a pretty
genius.
easy software implementation.
But that kills me about Amazon though is that they have a buy it again button. Like, it's, so like it's like movies and stuff, and you're like, why would I want to buy this again?
Well, they just have to look at my shopping history and go, you've bought double copies of like 20 movies in the last year, so we thought maybe we'd start offering it to you.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I understand the need for commerce and profit, but come on, buy this again.
What do you have there?
So I got this package in the mail, and I was like, oh shit, they got the wrong person, but it's got my address on it, and fuck, what would I don't want to go through all the bullshit or whatever. And I stayed down in my kitchen for like 2 days and everything, and then LaRange texted me and said, hey, there's a package that's coming in, you can go ahead and open it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Huh.
So I was like, oh, well, it looks like it looks like a poster canister, so I'm guessing it's a poster. And he's like, I don't know, maybe. So he sent this poster, and he's like, prepare to be disappointed, but it's Jingle All the Way.
We should hang that up in his honor.
Oh, that's a terrific poster,
he
too. He
laminated it.
Oh, my God.
He fucking laminated it.
Oh, well, the pull quote is, or the copy is, 2 dads, 1 toy, no prisoners.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
Sinbad has never been in as wacky a situation as he has been in this movie.
Even that one where he was like pretending to be a dentist.
That's right.
What was that one called?
Oh my
House
God.
Guest?
Oh, it was House Guest, wasn't it?
Yeah. Whoa, wait. Yeah. No, House Guest was Steve Martin and.
No, that was Bringing Down the House.
No, Steve Martin was also a house guest because he buys a house for Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. It's either House Guest or House Guests or something like that. The Sinbad movie, which I kind of want to say Phil Hartman was in that too.
Oh, he may have been.
Which is weird that they were both in this and Jingle All the Way.
I'm looking up Sinbad.
He's pretending to be a dentist.
IMDb is like, what?
It's like
really?
a con man.
Seriously?
Are you sure? Are you drunk right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Buy it again,
Buy
Chris.
it again. Go into the 90s. He was in Good Burger. He was in First Kid. He was in House Guest. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in House Guest. I don't know if he was pretending to be a
That's
a
Phil
dentist
Hartman as well.
Okay, then that's the one I'm thinking of. He's pretending. I'm pretty sure he's pretending to be a dentist.
Yeah, in hot water with the mob over an unpaid debt, a con man poses as a family friend in an affluent Pennsylvania suburb.
Yeah.
That's definitely the movie I'm thinking of.
At the beginning of that movie, Steve Martin buys a house for Goldie Hawn, and he literally puts a fucking bow all
isn't that
around
House Sitter?
House Sitter.
Oh, is that House Sitter?
Woo, I'm glad we finally cleared that up.
This is tangled web.
People listening to this section
you realize,
are like, come on, you idiot.
You realize that every one of those had house in it, though. Mm-hmm. Every one.
Thank you, LaRange.
Yeah, absolutely.
Laminated it.
LaRange has a new album out as of October. It's so good.
It's good. It's so rad.
Did you download it, man?
I have been listening to the streaming stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but
I
he's
still
gotten love from some serious, respected people on that album.
Yeah, it's funny. On Facebook, I've been once on Facebook, and then Barrett, you sent something from, was it SoundCloud or email or something, where we have people who have local listeners. Like I was beginning to wonder about that, because I had not heard anything from local people about our show yet. And we were talking about Thoroughbred, and somebody was like, "Oh yeah, I worked at that theater," and all that.
The dude made your print of the 70mm Hateful Eight.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm like, man, that was a shitty thing, and then he comes on, he's like, yeah, it totally was. Like, I wasn't just talking out of my ass,
That's the easiest way to annoy my wife is if she expresses that she wants something she doesn't have or can't have, and then saying, "You can't always get what you
For a minute
want."
there, I was like, I see a red door and I want to. I was like, what does that do?
I fucking love that song, by the way.
I do too.
Can't always get you out?
Yeah, because it's got that ending, man.
It's like jubilation.
You get the choir singing, and then you got Charlie Watts, who has always been an underrated drummer in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that skip beat. It should just be a regular backbeat, like dun 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 dun. But he's got a dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
I love that. I love talking about that kind of stuff with people who pay attention to it, because most people don't.
Yeah.
Like the drummer from Coldplay is one of my favorite bass drummers ever.
Will Champion.
Because he consistently... And it took me a long time to realize that was what was making me enjoy a song more than others of theirs, is because it's that Hymn for the Weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, boom, boom,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boom, and it's like you could just so easily 4/4 that shit, and no one would really even notice. I get the impression he just likes to make it fun for himself.
He does. You remember in their second album, In My Place? You remember that song?
Yeah.
That just starts off with the doom, and then blah doom blah doom blah da da. He fucking like kills that. Those drums on that album. What was that album called?
There was Cold Rush of Blood to the Head. There was Parachutes.
It was Rush of Blood to the Head.
Okay.
That had Clocks and In My Place and The Scientist and all that stuff on it. But yeah, the drums are enormous in that album.
Oh man, I love it. I tried explaining that to my wife, and she's just like, "I like that you like that stuff, but I can't really tell what you're talking about."
Man.
Maybe they should choose a less angry band name, like the Helpers.
Yeah.
The Survivors.
That's right.
The medical professionals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something that heals. The healers.
Right.
The Survivors.
The EMTs.
Like he looks like a guy that you pee next to at the bar.
Yep.
At the bar?
Yes.
On the bar.
On the bar.